All right, in this lesson, we are going to be looking at challenge 3 and how to accomplish that. Just before we do that, you might have noticed that previously before this challenge, we looked at selections. And we had you create this script right here that says when the green flag is clicked, you'll forever move 10 forward step and if on the edge bounce, but that's only if, again, the key space is pressed. So let's look at that one really quickly here. So that's this script right here. Okay, now the idea right now is as soon as I click the green flag, because it's in a forever loop, it should go yellow. Okay, so you can see that it's yellow, but the reason that it's not moving forward forever is because there's also this selection in there that says if. It's only going to forever happen is if the key space is pressed, then you'll move 10 steps, and if on the edge bounce. So if I press the space bar right now, watch what happens. As soon as I let go of the space bar, he's not moving because this if statement isn't being accomplished. It says if the key space is pressed. When I'm not pressing it, then this will not happen. Okay, so that's kind of that piece there. Regarding the challenge 3 is much more difficult and involved than challenge 2. However, it has some similar parts. Okay, so the first bit here I think you could do similar to challenge number 2. Create a program in which a sprite, not the cat, moves forward forever. If the user presses the arrow keys up, down, left, right, the sprite points in the indicated direction and keeps moving in that direction. In addition, the sprite should turn around or bounce if it touches the edge. If we stopped there, it wouldn't be the hardest thing to accomplish. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at what I've done here. So I've got this little character here. Okay, so this guy right here, his name is Ammon. Oops, and here he is. Okay, and as you can see here, I have challenge 2 done with Ammon. If I press the green arrow, he moves forward forever. If I press up, down, left, right, he points in those directions and goes in those directions. The only other addition that I want to show right now is just the if on edge bounce, which I did show previously, but it does say in the challenge right here, it says, in addition, the sprite should turn around or bounce if it touches the edge of the screen. So let's go ahead and accomplish that first of all. And again, you should pause this video and try some stuff on your own if you're like, I think I can do that. Okay, but I'm going to go right here. If on edge, bounce. I'm going to throw that right in there forever. Okay, so now if I play my program, you can see if he touches the edge, Ammon tends to bounce off. Okay, now the harder part of this program is what we're going to do next. Okay, and it says in the last part here, and it should turn around if it touches another sprite. So here's where we need to, we're going to have to introduce another sprite. We're going to have to also use a selection in order to make it so Ammon turns around if he hits that sprite. And if you ever want to pause this video, you should. And in fact, if you want to try that right now, you should do that at the moment. See if you can add another sprite and make it so that Ammon turns around if he touches that sprite. So let me show you what I'm going to do. So here's my other sprite, my cat here. Now I want it to be so if Ammon touches that sprite, that he turns around. Okay, so let's just see what happens. Right now, he doesn't interact with that sprite at all. Okay, but what we can do is add something to do with sensing. Okay, so there's something here in the sensing buttons that basically says if I'm touching something. So it says touching mouse pointer here, but I basically want it to be if I'm touching sprite 1, my cat is sprite 1, whatever your sprite is. So I want Ammon to be, if he's touching sprite 1, he needs to turn around. And in this case, for turning around, you might want to think about a motion that would make him turn the exact opposite direction. You don't know if he's going to come from the left, right, top, or bottom, so you need to make him turn in the opposite direction. In that case, you might want to use a turn, but not of 15 degrees. Think about what angle he would need to move in order for him to turn directly around. Okay, the other thing you're going to need to introduce is something to do with an if and then. Okay, so if you play around with these types of buttons, these types of controls, you should be able to make it happen, but you have to place them in the right place. So go ahead and try that, and if you want to, continue this video, okay? So first, what I'm going to do is put this information in a new forever loop, So I could. There's a variety of ways to do this. In fact, maybe I won't. What I'm going to do is, he's already moving forever. I'm going to put then, so when this is clicked, he's moving forever. But what I'm going to do is also say here, if he happens to touch the sprite while he's moving, he's going to turn 180 degrees. Okay, a little bit tricky, so go ahead and try that on your own. But I'm just going to throw in here, if he's touching sprite 1, he's going to turn 180 degrees, okay? And I should have a working script now. So let me go ahead and show you that it's working. Now, something interesting here, so you'll see it works, is if Ammon touches the cat, he does some glitching. I'm just going to show you that right now. So right now, you can see Ammon's just kind of going up and down and up and down. It looks like he wants to change direction, but he's attached to the cat. Now, the reason for this is because Ammon is not a symmetrical character. So what happens is when he comes in and touches the cat, he flips around and his foot touches the cat, which makes him flip around again, and then his hand touches the cat. So he's glitching because when he's trying to bounce off of the cat, he just keeps having a new part of his body touching the cat. So he's going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. There's a couple of things you can do about this. The first thing you could do is make sure that Ammon is a symmetrical character. So if you happened to have something like a baseball instead, so here's a baseball, and you did the same program, you'll see the baseball has no problem bouncing off of the cat, right? Because it's symmetrical. When it turns around 180 degrees, it doesn't have a new part touching the cat. Okay, but if you'd rather, what you can do with an asymmetrical character like Amnon here, little bit different, and it still works. But what you can do is make it so after he turns 180 degrees, so you can see here when you play your game, when he turns 180 degrees at a certain spot, he glitches. What you're actually going to want him to do is after he turns 180 degrees, we want him to move away, because you can see his foot's touching here. We want him to move away a little bit. So I'm going to, and you can just kind of play around with this, but if I do a 180 degree turn plus a move of, say, 30 steps, you can play around with this. But the idea now is he'll turn around, but he'll also move away from the cat. So 30 steps, which is about 30 pixels here, might move his leg away from the cat, so he won't deflect back and rotate over and over again. So let's go ahead and try that out and see how that works. So there you go. So you can see now that Ammon's not having the problem of when he rebounds off of that other sprite, just glitching over and over and over again. Okay. Finally, another way to accomplish this is you don't have to have this selection here in with this forever loop. You could just create a new forever loop if you want. If that's how your brain works a little bit better, you could say, when this is clicked, I would like to have it forever be that if I'm touching sprite 1, I'll turn 180 degrees and move 30 steps. So if your brain works better by having these forever loops, so he'll forever be moving forward, and if on edge bounce, and then he'll also forever, if touching sprite 1, turn 180 degrees, you can do that as well. And it's the exact same operating script or game, okay? But just be aware you'll have an easier time with this if you use a symmetrical sprite, okay? And that is it.